different time zone, and good evening to those who are even otherwise different time zone. This is Osama Manzar. I am the founder director of Digital Empowerment Foundation, and you are in a session which is called Community Network Exchange 2020. The Community Network Exchange is a platform, a kind of initiative that is started by Digital Empowerment Foundation and Internet Society for the last 4 or 5 years, and it is also supported by APC, APNIC Foundation, and A4AI, and several other organizations. Many of you have been participating for the last 4 years. I know Ideosync, Venu, Arora has been participating, who is one of the panelists today. Bazlur Rahman Bhai from Bangladesh has been participating very regularly. Laila has been part of Community Network Exchange in a different way, where we conducted some training in Uganda in community network. So she was part of it. So she is also in a way related and connected. So a warm welcome to this session, which is dedicated to be called Community Radio and Broadcasting with Community Networks. Our speakers and the panel members today are Laila Ndagire, if I am pronouncing correctly. Otherwise, Laila, is that right?
Yes, it's Ndagire.
Okay, Laila Ndagire, right?
Yes.
Yes, Laila Ndagire. She is a senior journalist at Mama FM, a community radio in Uganda run by Uganda Media Women's Association, and where she produces programs, trains women in internet and media. She is also a correspondent for the Women International News Gathering Service in Canada. Laila holds a graduation in developmental studies, and she is diploma in journalism, but she is extremely interestingly also a diploma in Cisco CCNA. So she also is a graduate kind of person who knows networking, so it's very interesting. And this is the kind of, thinking that we wanted to have a discussion into. We have another colleague, Venu Arora, who has joined as a speaker. She is co-founder and director of Ideosync Media Combine, which is India-based nonprofit working in the communications for social change. This is what she gave as a one-liner, but I know Venu has been associated with community media for ages, and I know her before even DEF was properly founded. That means, which is almost 20 years back in Nepal. That is where I learned from her how community media, community broadcasting takes place. She is a great, I would say, teacher in this phenomena to tell us what all has been happening. And we have Bazlur Rahman. He is in long name. He is called AHM Bazlur Rahman. We always call him Bazlur Bhai. He is the CEO and founder of Bangladesh NGOs Network for Radio and Communication, based in Dhaka. BNNRC represents the community electronic media sector to government, industry, regulatory bodies, media, academia, and development partners since 2000. So pretty much for the last 2 decades, he has been trying to bring all the community broadcasting people together and trying to create a collective impact. With these kind of introduction, I would straight away go into the discussion and get into asking a first question or comment from all my 3 panel is, how do you relate community radio or community media with community networks? Because community media and community radio is more focused on broadcasting, content building, bringing communities' voices, but community networks more focuses on creating network access to the community, where community is owned and run or manage the community network, which ask them to or just enable them to access internet. and then comes a picture of content and broadcasting and all that. But how do they both complement with each other? I will start with Venu to come in and give her 2 minutes of pitching into this one, and then I will go to Laila, and then I will go to Bazlur. You will have to unmute, Venu.
Yeah, so morning to everyone, and it's good to be among friends talking about an important current issue. And thank you, Osama, for that wonderful introduction. So I have been thinking about this idea of bringing the internet to the communities for a while now, and I've been following CNF, as you rightly said, been part of the 4-year journey that you have had with the networking idea. And I just want to go back to, the principles of community radio when we set up or went about setting up community radio stations, and the idea of being community owned, community run, and community managed. And the principles that were at the foundation of that. And over the years, we have seen that those principles, if we stand fast by those principles, then it brings sustainability. And if you kind of map it to where we are today with the internet, where again, across the board, we have monopolies, and data is becoming the new oil or the new gold or whatever you might want to call it, then within this framework, where do the principles that we have kind of held up the flag for with regard to ownership, with regard to participation, with regard to transparency, to those who are stakeholders, right? Which is the community. So in that sense, I think for us as those who are engaged with looking at this blended time, I see our current moment as being extremely blended. On the one hand, we see the entire world super connected. And on the other, we are also seeing remarginalization of voices because of the overall monopolies. So we are in this, I think it's a critical moment to think about the principles that we would then use to take networking forward, and how this would become a space to serve the communities with the data they share or they make, with the content they share or they make, and who will benefit from all of this. So, moving away from the conversations we used to have about having a voice to a network conversation where we are talking about whose voice is being used by whom, to kind of do good business or make profits or improve lives or progress or any of those ideas. So I think it's a very, very pertinent moment in time that we are engaging in this conversation. And this is also some of the projects and programs that Ideosync is hosting currently, not only with our over 60 community radio partners who we are working with on public interest programming, on fake news, on looking at the blended media of online, offline, and recognizing the fractures. So this is what I'm saying is coming from that kind of conversations that we've been having with partners over the last few years, especially given the current moment where we are in with regard to digital. So I look forward to our conversations this morning to see how many of those skins of the onion we can peel off to see where we want to get in terms of the core.
Thank you, Venu, and I will come back to you because you are very closely associated to Indian community radio, operators, and in terms of, and you have a very strong stress on how the networks are used, how the broadcasting stations are used, how the content are blended, and how you can bring in digital media into those content building and integrating, which is very, very interesting. But one of the things that we have been seeing with a lot of, we were with a lot of expectation is that how the community network in terms of creating a localized network access or an internet access be an extended or an integral part of community broadcasting, and why that is not happening very fast or very quickly. But I will come back to that a little later. I will go to Laila, Uganda, and thank you for joining, Laila. You are going to bring the voice of that area to our Asian participants, which is going to help a lot. You have been associated with community radio stations, and you have got a training also in community networks. So you have a degree in community networks or networking. I would like to know that what do you suggest and what do you see that how we can integrate community radio with community network from the access perspective to the internet beyond broadcasting?
Thank you so much, Osama, and all the panelists. How we can integrate community radio and community networks. First and foremost, community radio faces many challenges because they don't cover a wide coverage. For example, here in Uganda, the spectrum that we are provided for is limited. Community networks, if we could work with community networks and have them, it would help in collecting more content from the communities and then broadcasting it. Because with community networks, access to information can become a bit more easier for everyone, and also generating content can also be easy for the community radio here in Uganda. But here in Uganda, we have we are not into so much the community networks. For example, it was, I think, early this year or last year, I think, when we got Ritu, who introduced us to the community networks. She came with our partner, that is same code. And she introduced us, she trained us. So, it opened up our minds and we're like, oh my God, so this is possible. And as Mama FM, we looked at this as an opportunity for us to create, to impact more on people's lives by reaching out to more people. And actually we're looking forward because yes, it's a new area, but we want to get into it because we see it very vital for our communities, especially the women that are our major focus at Mama FM, who face really a big challenge of limited access to information. And so I think that community networks, if we can have them in place here in Uganda, we can actually impact more on the lives of the people. And it can also help us get access to different information from different people in society. So what we lack is how to develop one. And we think that with this conference that we're having and with DEF, we shall be able to set up one at Mama FM, because I think we have what is needed. We have masts at Mama FM and just a few equipment. I think we can put that in place.
I have a connected question. Bazlur bhai, can I? Yeah, thank you, Bazlur bhai. Laila, when we were working with you and doing the training, when Ritu was with you, and Mama FM came forward very aggressively to say that yes, you would like to implement community networks along with your Mama FM broadcasting network and all that. I want to know from you is that what kind of internet problem do you face in your daily work in community broadcasting? Because just to figure out that why actually you need community networks.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, the costs of the internet service providers is quite high for Mama FM. It's actually on and off. Yeah. So, and the licensing issues still, in Uganda, the community media is charged licensing fees like commercial media. So the internet is a bit challenging, and also the equipment, yeah, because we have, the equipment we have is not up to standard. So we need equipment that will, boost the network. And we believe, the times now we are in, because COVID is here. So we no longer have many community people coming to the studios because of the standard operating procedures in place. So if we have a network, a community network, communication can be quite easy. Content can be got quite easy. But right now it's hard. It's quite hard.
Thank you very much, Laila, and we'll come back with more, curiosity-based questions from your experience. But I will go to Bazlur Bhai, and I would request every one of you to please mute except the one who is speaking. Bazlur Bhai, I mean, you have a huge network of, community radio stations in Bangladesh, and you are very strongly attached with them. Many of them live and broadcast in the area where maybe the internet may be very patchy or may not be existing or very difficult. What's your opinion about adaptation or adoption of community networks or internet access through community network philosophies into the community broadcasting ecosystem?
Thank you, Osama bhai. First of all, I would like to thank you, organizer, for inviting me. A very important, I think, session called CNX Asia Pacific 2020. I so privileged because I attended one and my colleague attended another one. So we have some good experience regarding the CNX. Okay. According to our great diplomat, Chanakya, I would like to repeat my speech within 4 points. So, first of all, I would like to share with you regarding the community radio broadcasting challenges in Bangladesh now. All of you know, we have already entered the generation of the technology, digital technology, namely we call third industrial revolution or fourth industrial revolution now going on. This new generation of new technological advancement is merging our physical, digital, biological matter in line with the community data, community voice, and also community participation. So this is one area. Another one is community radio has faced a new challenges in line with third industrial revolution and also fourth industrial revolution. Meanwhile, the effect has been started on the community radio sector overall in Bangladesh, in line with day by day number of the listeners, number of the advertisers, and as well as attention of the policy maker to the community radio are decreasing now in Bangladesh. Third one is listeners are interested in more video content rather than audio content. And we call content on demand, like COD, content on demand, instead of visual content of video. Community listeners will be interested to what is prevailing in Bangladesh, already tested, run out, and a pilot has already going on. They are listening radio program through a mobile set, not a radio set. So this is a one kind of challenge. So I think these above three challenges, we have to have a solution. So according to the CNX, we feel we have only solution is to harmonize with the community network. concept, and as well as we call a community cooperative internet. So according to last two CNX, we have already started dialogue with Bangladesh Telecommunication Regulatory Commission regarding how we start the community network with the community radio, because we are faces above 3 challenges. So BTRC last 2 years, basically, we according to our dialogue, BTRC solely agreed to, and they ask us to submit a proposal so that they can solely provide some social obligatory fund for starting community networks with the community radio. So this is the current scenario. Thank you.
Yeah, there are two very interesting, points, Bazlur Bhai, you mentioned, and can I ask you to mute, please? 2 points. One is that, content on demand, and that too, video content on demand. Obviously, community radio stations are oral broadcasting or the voice broadcasting. And while it is very interesting, obviously because of the bandwidth availability, mass scale internet availability, people have started audio visual media liking or demand. And that's a very interesting part that can become a cause to complement community radio with community networks. Then the network is also available to complement the broadcasting with the content on demand or the video on demand. So this is a very interesting point that you highlighted. The second interesting point is that you are saying is that BTDC is willing to bring in some social fund or social obligatory fund, what we in India call it a USO fund, Universal Service Obligation Fund, and to start community networks. I would be very, very excited. I am sure equally Raj, Internet Society, would be very excited to see that how we can pitch in into that one to enable that quickly and do some, some few community broadcasting intervention with community networks. So I will come back to you to see that how we can collaborate to start on that one and what is the next step. But I want to go back to Venu to ask her, is that, in India, we did a couple of community radios complementing with community networks like Barefoot College and few more. But what I want to know is that, do you really think that community broadcasting stations or a community radio stations seriously need a community-owned, community-run, community network or internet networks to complement them, to broadcast better, to be multifaceted, to be audiovisual, to be more colorful, and to be more inclusive, and also have it as a backup?
No, absolutely. I was listening to both Laila and Bazlur, and the situation in India is somewhere in between, right? So unlike in Africa or Uganda, where the cost of the internet could be, prohibitive, in India, that's not the case, right? However, we do see community radio stations. Many of them are streaming their content online already, and also, some of the community members are also creating their podcasts. I mean, look at our Freedom program currently in the urban slum. However, I think I go back to the point that I made earlier, is that there are some communities that continue to remain marginalized, especially women. So in our Freedom program, we find that even though there is internet right in the heart of Delhi and it's available and it's accessible, the mobile phone ownership, especially smartphone ownership, and we know current data from 2019 is showing that there is a huge gender gap. So clearly we are seeing that even in a digital age, there is a remarginalization, and such building community networks would then enable those who are currently being marginalized by otherwise available digital networks to kind of rejoin this conversation. Definitely, it would complement community radios in expanding their reach, because as Laila said, in India as well, we have a limited 15-kilometer, 20-kilometer radius under the current community radio licenses. So the radio stations are able to reach only that area, and for so many years our radio stations have been demanding and asking that this reach be increased. You know, we were looking for especially in areas where there is underpopulation like Kutch, etc., an expanded reach to reach larger populations would be extremely meaningful. So both in terms of reaching your audiences as well as in terms of being enabling audiences that are further away to participate, to send in their voices, to send in podcasts that they can then make on their own, would also be, very, very valuable. So clearly there is a value in the partnership, but we have to obviously work with the community and the radio stations to build on that from bottom up, recognize the needs, and in each country it will have to be, I think, differently done.
Wonderful, Venu. We keep talking about how to bring community networks in the life of community radios or a community broadcasting. But what is also very interesting is that how do we learn the, the content building, the contextual content building, and the broadcasting formulas, and the, dissemination of information learnings to the community networks, the existing community networks, because community networks are primarily access to internet, but after that, we had a discussion, and one session was content, context, and all that. And it would be very interesting to see that how, community radios can bring in the sense of content, context, and, broadcasting and the production of content into the community network. And in that manner, I will go back to Laila to say that, do you think what Venu said is that community network is also very important to bring in, gender equality, gender equitability, from the perspective of not only gender, but also marginalized people's voice much more, inclusively. What is your experience say? I mean, do you really see that because of the non-availability of internet access, you are missing out many voices that you could have otherwise got it? Your reporters face those problems?
Yes, I'll agree with Venu. If we have community networks in place, I think this will help to bring out more voices of the marginalized groups. I'll give an example in Uganda. It's women lack access. They are most affected. They don't have smartphones. Yeah, they have these small phones, analog phones, and in Uganda, we are being charged over-the-top tax to access social platforms. So you have to pay for you to get access to social media platforms, and also we see that women are taken up. They are doing a lot of work. So being on radio, sometimes they can fail to get that time. So if there is there is a network, and they can maybe post what issues that are affecting them, it can be easy for them to raise their voices. And also other marginalized groups, like the people living with disabilities. Actually at Mama FM, we are having programs where we invite, where people living with disabilities come, and they participate, they get their content, they share, but with the challenge is accessibility, coming to the station. So we go out there, we meet them, we get their content, we get their voices, we do programs from there. So if we could have available community networks, I think accessibility would be quite easy for such people to share with us their content. and also to receive more information.
Wonderful, Laila. Actually, Ritu is here in this one behind the curtain. She would be very happy to know your voices, that you are very, very eager to have community networks for your community. And I want to also convey your voice to Internet Society and Raj that, you know, here in Uganda, people are, you know, very keen that community networks can be brought into the community radio broadcasting arena. And you know, very soon perhaps we will come back to you and see how we can work together to bring in community networks. But tell me one thing before I go to Bazlur Bhai, is that if we bring in community networks, would you be also expanding your network of reporters? Are they the first beneficiary of community networks before the community itself?
Yes, if we bring in community networks, I believe we shall expand our community reporters, because we have been having some trainings where we train people in the communities to become reporters. And, you know, those who have smartphones, we've been creating WhatsApp groups. And so they have been sending in content. So I believe if we have these networks in place, we'll have more community reporters.
Wonderful.
Yes, and also it, you know, the accessibility matters, because the high cost of internet, and you know, all those costs, and recently the government wanted to bring a law for every person who creates content on internet. For example, having a YouTube channel, and you know, I broadcast my content, to pay some amount of money to Uganda Communications Commission, bloggers, influencers, to pay and get a certificate to be allowed to broadcast that content. So those are some of the challenges that we are facing, and we believe that if we could have, you know, a clear understanding, and also if the government would look at internet as a right, I mean, a human right, yeah, because right now it is, you know, I think everyone should be able to access internet, because the world is we are in a global world, and we need to get access to information in different ways. So I believe we wouldn't be have to pay, you know. I shouldn't be paying to access my social media platforms. Yeah, I believe it's not right. And also, if I'm to produce content and disseminate it using my YouTube channel or my Facebook or what, I should not have a certificate, you know, to allow me to broadcast content. So I believe if the government would at least remove the tax, the social media tax, I think it would help people in getting more content.
Obviously, community network also allows you to access the internet for content in a collective manner, you know, which is also a good sign, because rather than individualization of content access, if you have a community-based access, it also minimizes the cost of access in many, many ways when you have a community space, and your reporters can easily create community access points, you know, in different places for the people to come and use those, you know, access to internet. Those are the complementing advantages of having community networks. Bazlur Bhai, I want to go back to you to take you on when you said that BTRC is saying that they are ready to do some pilot or some investment in the area of community networks into community radio. I mean, what are the details you have? Is there, I mean, what do they mean? I mean, are they ready to invest in exactly the way we know community networks, or to have a different understanding? And how soon is this going to go to all the 30, 35 or 40 networks that you have, community radio stations you have, or will there be some selection, few selections that we will go into? You are on mute. You have to unmute.
Basically, you know, we are the very much involved with Bangladesh Internet Governance Forum. So, through basically we started a dialogue with the Bangladesh Telecommunication Regulatory Commission through Bangladesh Internet Governance Forum regarding how we connect or harmonize community radio with the community network. Before answer your question, I would like to emphasize another thing. Say, traditional community radio operator now time to act should converse with or transform themselves as a community radio 4.0. So community radio 4.0 is now very, very important, and community network is a only opportunity for us to transform ourselves as a community radio 4.0. Okay, so dialogue with the Bangladesh Telecom Regulatory Commission, primarily they ask to submit a concept note regarding the community network. So now we must communicate with you also regarding how we submit a concept note, and as well as how we start at a time with 20 community radio station. With this community network, and then slowly, primarily, we thinking we need some capacity building also. Capacity building in line with not only community network, capacity building also our side also in line with the new scenario of the community radio broadcasting. So like we need to reskilling ourselves and as well as upskilling ourselves, and as well as level of degree de-skilling ourselves. Because right now, our 1,000 community radio broadcasters preparing their program with a digital format, but they broadcasting their program through analog due to the spectrum, you know the matter. So now time to act to start some reorientation through within our broadcasters regarding reskilling, de-skilling, and as well as upskilling ourselves. Thank you.
Wonderful. So you are actually bringing, you want to bring revolution, industrial revolution 4.0 into community radio revolution 4.0, right? By bringing in, by enabling them to community network embedded into them one, and not only that you use digital as a content production, but also digital as a broadcasting medium, right? And therefore embedding the various kind of skilling that is required.
Yeah. One thing is already UN World Pulse started artificial intelligence with community radio for analyzing the content of the community people, and as well as community data regarding this. So this experience from the Africa also. So that now we are on the way to develop some artificial intelligence program, how we analyze our content regarding, say, Venu and also Laila mentioned regarding the gender disparity. Yes, we have a gender disparity within the content. So how we will mitigate this matter like this? So in this regard, artificial intelligence can help us to analyze the content. And as well as Laila mentioned the community network. So we have 1,000 community radio reporter all over the country. So they need also, they are upskilling, de-skilling, and as well as reskilling matter. Thank you, Osama.
Wonderful. And by the way, all of us, what we are talking, the artificial intelligence is transcribing in real time, the link of which is provided to you on chat, which you can have a look. And it's quite accurate, actually. So thank you very much. We had a lovely, first round of discussion. Our team is, asking us to pause a little so that we can get into seeing some videos, and it will be quite a good exposure to all of you also, because apart from the fact that they might be available, we don't get a chance to see them and learn from them. Yes, Sarah and Shivangi, can we have the video? And as soon as it finishes, also give us a heads up that how much time will be left to do the question and answer and wrap up the session. Thank you very much. So let's take a pause, mute yourself and watch the video, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, so we'll start with the videos in 20.
ಈ ಗರಿಕ್ಯೂರ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರಾಮ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 52 ಮನೆಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಇದೆ. ಜನ ಎಲ್ಲ 7-7:30 ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಜಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಜೀಪಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೆಲ್ಸಕ್ಕೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಈಗ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕು ಮತ್ತು ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಸೆಟಪ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇರೋ 50 ಮನೆಗಳವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೂ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ನಾವೊಂದು ವೈಫೈ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅವರು ಒಬ್ರಿಗೊಬ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು. ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಸ್ಟೇಷನನ್ನು ಅವ್ರು ನಡೆಸ್ಕೋಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಈ ವಟಾರದ ಮನೆಗಳ ನಡುವೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಾಗಲೇ ಡಿಶ್ ಟಿ ವಿ ಅದು ಇದು ಕನೆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಜಗತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ನಡೀತಾ ಐತೆ ಅಂತ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಿದೆ, ಆದರೆ ಇವ್ರ ನಡುವೆ ಏನು ನಡೀತಾ ಐತೆ ಅಂತ ಜಗತ್ತಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಪ್ರಾಬಬ್ಲಿ ಲಾಕೋ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಸೆಟಪ್ಪು ಮತ್ತು ವೈಫೈ ಮೆಶ್ಶು ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಹುಡುಗರೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿರೋ ಹುಡುಗರೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಿನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪೇರನ್ನ? ಚಿನ್ನ ತಂಬಿ. உங்கள் பேர்? கனகராஜ். கனகராஜ். ரங்கநாதன். ரங்கநாதன். மாணிக்கம். நம்ம மாணிக்கம். கண்ணன். கண்ணன். இவர் தான் நமக்கு இல்லை லோக்கல் கோஆர்டினேட்டரு, யூத் லீடரு. ஈஸ்வரன். ஈஸ்வரன். இன்னைக்கு எங்கே போகலையா ஈஸ்வரன்? இன்னைக்கு நீங்கள் நெட்வொர்க் பில்ட் பண்ணலான்னு சொல்லி நம்ம கூட இருக்கீங்களா? வெரி குட். அண்ணா உங்கள் பேர்? காமராஜ். நீங்கள் எல்லாம் நம்ம கூட இருந்து இன்னைக்கு ஒரு டவர் பில்ட் பண்ணல. இங்கே பண்ணிட்டு இருக்க நெட்வொர்க் எல்லாரும் பார்ட்டிசிபேட் பண்ணலாம். பசங்களும் நீங்கள் எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும் நெட்வொர்க் கனெக்ட் பண்ணுறது ப்ளூடூத் வழி. ஒரு 10 நாளில் இங்கே ப்ரைவேட் நெட்வொர்க்
சிக்னல் எங்கெங்கே வருது அப்படின்ட்டு அதெல்லாம் மார்க் பண்ணோம். ஃபஸ்ட் அன்னைக்கு மார்க் பண்ணி எல்லா இடத்துல போய் கிளிக் பண்ணி கனெக்ட் பண்ணி இங்கேருந்து பேசினா எவ்வளோ தூரத்துக்கு போகுது சிக்னல் அப்படிங்கிறத குறிப்பிட்ட இடத்த எண்டு பண்ணி ஃபோட்டோ எடுத்து பார்த்தோம். அப்புறம் ரேடியோ போட்டால் எவ்வளோ தூரத்துக்கு சிக்னல் போகுது அதையும் மார்க் பண்ணியாச்சுல. ஆமாம்.
பேசிக்கலி கொஞ்சம் சொல்லுங்க. இது நம்ம தேன் பெட்டி ரேடியோ. இதுக்குள்ள என்னென்ன இருக்குன்னா
வேறேண்ணா
Now you can record your audio.
அதாவது நம்ம கல்ச்சுவல்லி வன உரிமை குழு தலைவர் கேஆர் சிவனன் மணிக்க எல்லாம் கேட்டுக்கோய. இப்போ வந்து நம்ம அவருக்கு குவால் ரேடியோ இங்கிருந்து ஓப்பன் பண்ணிக்காரு. அதனால நீங்கெல்லாம் கேட்டு ரசித்து சரி எல்லாம் தொடர்ந்து நல்ல கதை நல்ல பாட்டு எல்லாம் நீ விருப்பத்தோட வந்து இது பண்ணிக்கணும். நீங்கெல்லாம் வந்து விவரத்தோடு அறிந்து அறியாத செஞ்சிருக்காது. இப்போ இது நமக்கு சரியான கீஸ்டோன் ஃபவுண்டேஷன் செஞ்சிருக்காது. அருமையான சிறந்த வாய்ப்பு கண்ணு திறந்தமாக ரேடியோ நம்ம ஊரில் இருக்காது பால் ரேடியோ. அது மிக்க மிக்க நன்றி.
Yahweh Casil, which in English means Caldono's and Sylvia's White Network, it's an intranet network that connects 6 communities. It's located in the ancestral territory Satamakiwe, where law of origin, uses and customs are exercised based on 3 principles: autonomy, self-government, and territorial control frame in the special indigenous jurisdiction in the Department of Cauca, Colombia. Most of the people are from the ethnic groups Nasa and Misak. However, there are also peasant communities that live inside or outside the indigenous reservation in the territory. Since the end of 2016, after the signing of the peace agreement, more than 500 ex-combatants of the former armed group FARC arrived, most of them indigenous, and they were located in the Carlos Perdomo Reincorporation and Training Transition Space in the municipality of Caldono. This has meant a constant work in reincorporation and reconciliation through projects and alliances with local authorities. Within the territory, there are productive projects such as agriculture, livestock, food processing, handicraft, among others. Also, there are initiatives in communication such as television and radio, and now internet and intranet, that seek to strengthen ancestral knowledge for younger generations. In order to connect each of the communities, Wi-Fi technology equipment operating in the 5 GHz band is used for point to multi-point links. We use ubiquity equipment of the AirMax M and AirMax AC line, such as PowerBeam and Lightbeam. For network management, a MikroTik brand router is being used, and it's connected to the fiber connection. Also, there is a firewall and a mask rule that apply to give internet access to the local network with using the subnet mask 255.255.0.0. In addition, there are mesh nodes with Eurorouters equipment and are being used in the 2.4 GHz access point.
वो लोग पूंजी वाले आदमी हैं, हम लोग गरीब आदमी हैं, तो उनको जब रेट आता है तब वो बेचते हैं। अब हम लोग हर हफ्ते अगर बेचेंगे नहीं तो खाएंगे क्या?
धूप में सूत लगाना रहता है धागा, और वो बहुत सारी कठिनाइयाँ उठानी पड़ती हैं। फिर उसके बाद इसमें नज़रों का भी, जरी वाले काम में भी और बुनकरी वाले काम में भी नज़रें ख़राब हो जाती हैं और बहुत सारी दिक्कतें आती हैं, उसमें भी इतनी प्रॉफिट नहीं है।
Actually, traditional skill-based clusters like handloom weaving suffer from deep information poverty and they live in unconnected ghettos. Incidentally, both Ericsson and Digital Empowerment Foundation, we share the vision of how to bring digital technologies and broadband in the hands of the people and try to link them with the market in such a way that they have total control over the information. Digital infrastructure, broadband connectivity, and direct access to market for information and knowledge are the only solution to make these weaving clusters survive.
Under our sustainability and corporate responsibility vertical, we run a program which is global in nature called Technology for Good. It is a great example of how giving access to technology or giving access to a network and therefore alleviating information darkness, subsequently aiding the growth of that community is a great example, and it is fitting exactly into our vision of empowering society through network society.
हम ऑनलाइन काम करेंगे तो उसमें हमारे बीच में जो लोग हैं, ख़रीदार लोग हैं, तो बीच वाले लोग हट जाएंगे। जो मेन ख़रीदार है उसको ऑनलाइन मिल जाएगा सामान हमारा, और हमको पूरा मुनाफा मिलेगा।
Wonderful. So thank you all of you for watching these three different kind of videos from three different parts of geographies, and quite innovative. Especially the first one looked like that it was built in community, by the community, for the community, and just in a day or so. Quite interesting. May I ask Sarah or Shivangi to tell us exactly how much time are we left with? 15 minutes?
We are left with 12 minutes.
12 minutes. Okay, thank you
Yes.
very much. Yes, so coming back to the panel, there is one question that I can see there is want to understand the COLS, what is that? Involved in setting up with the community broadcast.
I think it's about cost.
Oh, okay. So, Venu, would you take it up?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've always talked about costs for community radio as being like a home, right? How when you build your house, it depends on, you can build a palace, you can build a hut, right? It depends on what your requirement is and what your resources are. And we all build homes, right? Based on what we can afford at different points in time. So when we have been doing our community radio trainings across the country, we talk to the community and discuss at what point they want to start. So if there is a local space that the community can provide, that takes care of your space costs. Of course, there is equipment. So again, equipment can be anywhere from basic equipment. You can start with one computer. You can have 10. So it's really very variable, and the costs are available in online publications. You can refer to N. Ramakrishnan's cost design in the UNESCO's book on technology and community radio. It breaks down the entire cost for setting up a community radio station, and the costs are available. And I think I would encourage you to also consult some operating radio stations. There are over 350 radio stations in India, and depending on where you want to set it up, I think the broadcasting radio stations, and we have a network on our community media munch. So I think it's a good idea to start that conversation on costs with operating stations as well. So that's how I would like to respond to that cost question, because there is no one cost, right? You can start small and you can invest big money and then wonder how you will sustain it. So there are both questions involved there.
Yeah, thank you, Venu. And having said that, what I feel is that the minimum cost that I can certainly save from the experience is anywhere between around $6,000, $7,000 upward. And it will be very interesting to also know that how the community network can be a part of the design of community broadcasting itself, so that because it's an infrastructural complementarity that is required, how digital you make the community, how digital you make the network, how digital you make the equipments, how digital you make the broadcasting, and so on and so forth. Like Bazlur bhai said that we collect the content by digital, but actually broadcast analog, which is quite to say the least is interesting. But all the TV broadcasting happens now digitally, I mean, so there is no point of not talking, including that one.
If I may interrupt, Osama, before you move on from the last conversation, can I take a minute more, or
please?
Yeah, no. So I just want to go back to what Laila was saying earlier about internet being a right? And I completely agree that we have to push for a rights-based approach to online resources, and especially from our experience, we are currently seeing. I mean, we are currently running a program with 40 community radio stations across the country on nutrition, where we are also working with the frontline workers. And the frontline workers don't have access to digital, to the internet. So we are trying to do this whole program, but there is a lack of internet. So I clearly see the requirement and the need, but I think it's about coming together both in terms of content and context, like you rightly put, and see how you can create a blended approach. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
Yeah, when I was listening to all three of you, what I was thinking is that all of us should get together and create community network and community broadcasting in a box. It's something like they both learn from each other, and the kind of toolkit that guide with each other, that how do you embed, how do you complement, how do you use each other, because they certainly broadcast complement each other a lot. It's not a replacement to each other, but certainly, embedding with each other. I want to go back to Laila to ask one of my questions, and I would request anybody else who would like to raise a question, please type your question in Q&A. But if you are in the area of panel, and if you have any question, please type it into the chat box, and it will be really encouraging if you do that, so that we can use next 7-8 minutes fruitfully. So I go back to Laila to ask, is that how many community radio stations are there in Uganda, by the way?
Thank you so much. In Uganda, we have 5 community radio stations, with Mama FM being in the central region, and others are in Mama FM is in the heart of Kampala. So others are in other outside districts, out of the upcountry districts. So they are 5, of which 3 of them were started by UNESCO.
Okay.
Mama FM is run by Uganda Media Women's Association. Media women came together after seeing the gap in access to information by marginalized groups. So the media women came together and formed an association, and then came up with a community radio to give access to women and other marginalized groups to have access to information.
Okay, Laila, go on.
Yes, I wanted to add on something that, yes, community networks are very important, and we are in the election period here in Uganda, and due to COVID, they are scientific, whereby the electoral commissions put guidelines. You have to campaign using radio, using social media, and other platforms, online platforms, but it's quite challenging for people to use these platforms for example, access to the media, radios, the commercial radios are, requesting for a lot of money for people to campaign. And when it comes to use of the internet, it's even worse. For example, we have been training women, aspiring women, on how to campaign using these platforms, how to use. Some of them don't know how to use the internet for their benefit. So we have been training them on how they can disseminate, their information, do campaigns online, because that is the thing. We don't campaign. Usually we've been having, these campaigns where gatherings and what, and now it's not the case. So internet use is very important, and here in Uganda, of course, we have a lot to do because people don't know actually how to use them. Even those with smartphones, you find them, they use them just for calls and maybe text messages, but they don't use them on the internet.
Wonderful. I wanted to know from you very quickly is that what are the 3 things that would be required to bring community network to all the 5 community broadcasting players in your country? I mean, it's finance, it's infrastructure, training, capacity building, grant, fund. What will be required to do so?
I think the resources in funds are important, but also capacity building on how to sustain. Yes, because if you don't build your capacity, the capacity of people who are going to run the network, then it will not work. So capacity building, because the skills people need to get the skills, and then the equipment. Yes, necessary equipment.
So I would say, Laila, I would request you to please start mobilization resources, and we will bring capacity building support to you. And let's try to see that post-COVID, if we can do with Mama FM, and then that becomes an example to go forward to impress others to come on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, Bazlur Bhai, what do you see? I mean, how many community radio stations or broadcasting stations or community media stations do you see that will be on board with community network in the next 1 year or 2? You have to unmute yourself.
Thank you. We have in Bangladesh 2 types of community radio. One is the broadcasting through a spectrum. Another one is community visual radio using the only internet. So we have a both radio. So we would like to start at a time 20 places because level of degree readiness is available. So only now we need some knowledge. So you are available, I think, for providing the knowledge. Second one is we need some building capacity building related matter. So these 2 is very important for us. And the third one is the slowly develop some material for the policy maker, especially BTRC people and also our ministerial people. You know, our minister is a civil society people, Mr. Mustafa Jabbar. So he is a very convenient and easygoing people. So we need some advocacy material. That is very important for us for starting the community radio along with community network. I would like to share with another 2 points. One point is the monetization of the community radio. It is very, very important now from the social media sector. So easily we can started some monetization from Facebook and as well as YouTube. So community network easily help us for monetizing the money from the Facebook and also YouTube. So it is one thing. Another one is the hyper-local. Because the hyper-local is now very, very important according to Venuji, and also Laila addressed this. So hyper-local is the only way to survive the community broadcasting, because survival of the community broadcasting is very important. And COVID-19 basically cleared us, indicate us the community broadcasting is a necessary for the community people. Community broadcasting is a necessary for the voices for the voiceless, and protecting the community data also. So I think we need to harmonize ourselves very quickly in line with the content. Content also we need to revisit ourselves in line with the STEAM, say science, technology, mathematics, art. We must combine with this technology in line with the STEAM. Thank you.
Wonderful. So it's great. I think we have a lot of responsibility. We are happy to come back to Bazlur Bhai to work with you on capacity building and the advocacy note, so that the things can be fast forwarded. And with Laila, we should certainly start working on resource mobilization and also bringing in how soon we can start the work there. I would now go back to the last round, and this is just a rapid one sentence from all three of you as a concluding comment, but this has to be in such a short that we can tweet it. So your tweetable one-line closing comment is required from all three of you, and I will start with Bazlur Bhai and I will end with Venu. That what would be that one-line tweetable comment for you, I mean from you, on community broadcasting and community networks relationship?
Yeah, ensuring voices for the voiceless through community radio and also community networking.
Thank you. Laila.
With community networks working, community radios having community networks will enable more access to information from the less privileged in society.
Thank you, Laila.
Thank you.
So I would say we need to reimagine voice in an online space through a feminist lens, with a rights-based approach to all we do.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. You all sounded like a UN, podium lecture to follow for the rest of us. I will just try to wrap up by saying that, certainly this session gave us a lot of food for thought that how we can collaborate and work together, because there is a willingness to do something more than what it is there on the ground. And we all have a very common agenda, is that by bringing community broadcasting and community networks, we can reach to voiceless, and we can be more inclusive. We can give voice to marginalized, gender-wise excluded community, and so on and so forth. And there is all available, and the most of it is that willingness. Not only in Bangladesh, but in Uganda and India. India, I feel very strong with Venu, because she is already there, very strongly there. And if we both can bring our, digital and, broadcasting angle together, I'm sure we can bring in more and more community broadcasting stations into the purview of community networks. With that, I would like to conclude this session, and the way forward is that next 10 minutes will be a break for all of us, and then the next session will start, which is the I think it is the 7th or 8th session, 7th session or 6th session.
8th session.
8th session. So our 8th session will start in 10 minutes, which is from Indian point of view, 12:50. And in the meanwhile, while you take a break, take